Okay. Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Good.
Good. Did you have a good lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah? Satisfying? Good job, Drupal Twin Cities. Let's talk about optimizing Drupal for digital marketing. How's that sound? Yeah? Okay. So I'm Seth Viebrock, the founder and CEO of Originate. I started selling websites in 1996 when nobody barely even knew what that was. You could walk into a business and say, hey, you want a website? What's that? I've heard of it. Okay, yeah, probably need one. And have been involved ever since. I went on to study economics at Macalester here in the Twin Cities, and then did some work and research in biological psychology. And this presentation is kind of a culmination of all that. There's, you may have heard of neuromarketing, using the brain, science available to us to understand a bit more deeply how users interact with, what we put out to them, whether it's a Facebook ad or a website or what have you. So, a little bit about us. We're a pretty friendly, technical, responsive team that does a lot of Drupal. We do WordPress as well. We've done some apps, and we're also a sponsor of this year's Drupal Camp. So we do the traditional support and redesign stuff. We do a lot of support, but we also optimize websites for this, concept of digital impact, which promotes growth, making a connect. We try to help our clients make a connect between their website and its experience and how, how the user flows happen, everything from microcopy to design, how that impacts their growth as a business. Not everyone is making that association. But I think marketers today are being pushed to really think about growth and think like a business owner. I think Coke or Pepsi, their CMO was let go recently. So I think that's where things are going. So this is Mike and Brian are on my team. Laura, Justin, and where's Peter? Is Peter here? There he is. Oh, he's in the back of the room. Hey, Peter. Oh, taking photos. Okay. Hey, Peter. Some of our clients, we work a lot with the University of Minnesota. It's one you would recognize, Estee Lauder, Walker Art Center. Oh, happy Pride. It's Pride. Hey! All right. Cheers. So just taking a moment to acknowledge that that's going on during this Drupal camp. The LGBT culture is definitely a culture. It's a subculture. And, it's kind of our Christmas, our time to get together with our families that we create, because not all of us are in touch with our families or, have been abandoned. So we create them, and this is kind of our time to celebrate. So with that, let's stay here. I'd like to just take a moment to, I don't know if anyone likes this stuff. It's called champagne. Mike is going to help me out with my team here. I'm just going to have a little bit of champagne. All right. Okay. All right. I would like the glass as well. Okay. Now, all right. So, I'm going to take this presentation as an exercise in optimization. So, let's think. What are some of the valuable activities that I'm trying to persuade you, the users, the audience, viewing this presentation to do? I'm trying to get you to care, to learn and understand, and, if it happens, think about Originate when you think of digital optimization and growth. Thank you. Anyone else, feel free to or just pass, maybe walk around, I don't know. Feel free to come and get one. So when you, as a user, perform any of these valuable activities, in marketing and optimization terms, we call this a conversion. So it's an analogous concept is filling out a contact form, registering as a user, purchasing a product, donating, enrolling as a student at a higher ed institution, visiting the About page to really learn about what this business is doing, opening an email, following a company on social media, or clicking on any old call to action of value. So, how do I do this? I make my value proposition clear right away. I establish a most wanted action, and I get you off the home page and down the sales funnel. Well, that's a bit of a metaphorical stretch, but let's just bear with me and see. So how do I get you to learn and understand? I do my best to think about your user experience. Please pretend that these slides exhibit persuasive design. It's alpha version. Optimize. It's not just about you at this one conference, although you are lovely. It's about future conferences. So I'm launching early, and I'm learning and gathering data. I'm not worrying about perfection at this point. I don't know if we have a feedback form, but if we do, please fill that out. This is my minimum viable product. I threw this together during Pride weekend, or Pride week, and let's just see how it goes. And I'm going to do this presentation multiple times at other conferences, making it better each time with user feedback and any other data I can gather. So now, how do I get you to think about Originate when you think of digital optimization and growth? Well, I don't know, but maybe whenever you see our Blue 08 logo, do not think about the big blue rooster at the Walker Sculpture Garden, okay? And when you do see that big blue rooster, do not think about Originate. Promise? Okay. All right, optimization, the big picture. Stop copying your competitors. You can take ideas, but they may not know what the F they are doing either. This is to quote someone who runs a conversion optimization company that is a great thought leader in the industry. Stop guessing and start testing. Of course, experience does count. Best practices do count. It helps you do better research. It does not let you know which solution will work, unfortunately. For example, as another metaphor, to replace my battery in my car might fix the problem, but then again, it could be the alternator. So a skilled mechanic would go in and test his hypothesis before he performs the work. The term in the industry that's floating out there is conversion optimization, conversion rate optimization. But just decrease your prices and conversions will go up. So that term misses out a little bit on what we're trying to get. If you can make the leap with your client, we're essentially optimizing profits and market engagement. I think it needs to look more blue, silently judging you. I don't know how many times you've gotten that. I'm sure if you work in the industry, you've gotten a lot of opinions, right? But bringing our clients to, a path of understanding that, if we can test these opinions with data, we'll all be better off in the long run. So here's a good or bad example, depending on how you look at it, from a prospective client that came to Originate. The website is projectjuice.com. It's just a recent example, and it just has to be losing tons of money. Of course, yes, you have to test your hypotheses, but man, it just has to. There's clearly no testing going on. It's a D7 commerce site. Some rogue developer built it and maintained it. Someone on their marketing team came to us because they heard about WordPress from their friends, and they said things like, it's user experience, WordPress is easy to use, WooCommerce seems nice. Okay. You're losing so much money right now. Like, what are you doing? So let's just take a look at the website, projectjuice.com. The main call to action, shop juices here that you see, goes to the same place as juices in the main nav, topmost left. And this is where it takes you. So it takes you to custom juice pack. There's a large amount of text here, and then an add to cart button, and a hero image. Scroll down. There's some red instructional text on how to do e-commerce on their particular website.
This is the same page?
This is the same page, yeah, scrolling down. And the add to cart button box follows you. And then some options to tick up your quantity of juices. So, too much text, let me buy your damn juice. Useless landing photo, hero image. They already have beautiful functional pictures of juices that they could, maybe make bigger and redo, put the add to cart button on the individual view pane. But, what is this landing image doing? They have a strange add to cart UX. I was feeling thirsty and in a hurry. I'm a busy person who has money to spend on expensive juices. So I clicked on this add to cart button and nothing happened. It didn't do anything. It says that I get that it says custom, but I didn't understand that at first because I'm busy. I just want some juice. Like, give me your sample of juices. And it didn't read, I didn't read like most users, and then I experienced this, like, this site is broken kind of concept, like, I don't trust it. This site is strange. So then I had to read detailed instructions on how to go about e-commerce at Project Juice here and read this red text. I don't know why please select at least 6 juices wasn't red, but I didn't see it. My eyes glossed over it. And then I had to scroll down through, all this text to figure out what the heck to do. So am I crazy, or are other users experiencing this too? Well, the best way is to test, but we don't have access to their website, their analytics at this point. But luckily, there are some artificial intelligence tools that can help us out in the absence of user data to give us, 90-ish% accuracy of how the user's eye will probably move around on the page within the first 7.5 seconds. The example we use here is Fengui. There are a couple other tools on the market. 3M even has one that's poorly marketed, but really interesting. So I ran this page through Fengui, and this is a gaze plot. So the red circles happen within the first 2.5 seconds, and the lines between the circles show the path of visual saccades, which are brief eye movements, and it's just kind of how we go about processing a page quickly. Our eyes jump around. So these are these eye jumps. So number 1 is that this useless hero image, and then number 2 is this cart button, the about page, this not useless, 5, custom juice pack, okay, 7, more juice, 9, packs, 10, more juice, like, there's so much waste. And yellow, we start looking at, what is this line here? There's a lot of visual noise on the page. Pantry, okay. register, I don't need to register, add to cart. And then green, more juice, visual distractions, shipping, add to cart. There's some text down here. At 28, we see that there's some text down here. And we need this text in order to figure out how to do e-commerce on the site. So that's kind of what this, part of my point. And then there are other ways to analyze this. This is kind of a focal plot of what the user's eyes are going to be drawn towards in the first, few seconds. Like I said, I browsed here, I saw the juice, custom juice, and then add to cart. Add to cart is a focal point. So this whole UX is broken. I finally figured out how to add some juices to my cart. Look at that. I've got 6 juices in my cart. So let's proceed to checkout, but that's not all. Okay. I am so freaking thirsty at this point. Then, can I get a drum roll, please? Ah! User login! Drupal user login. Really? I want some juice right now. And log in. I'm not a member of this site. Why are they asking me to log in? I'm not a robot. Request new password. Do I need to create a new account now? What is going on? It's terrible UX. 1 in 4 abandon online purchases due to forced registration. And this is an exhibit of the greedy marketer syndrome, this login page. Marketers want to capture data. So they're like, oh, I'm a marketer, I want to capture data. But you're also costing your company, I don't know how much money they make, but like a large amount of money. So this is kind of like the $300 million button analogy. It's a real story. There's a popular usability case study from a major e-commerce site. And they had a very simple form with 2 fields, 2 buttons, and 1 forgot password link, basically a registration form. And then they optimized their website by doing testing, oh my gosh, and found out they were losing about $300 million a year from this one form. And it was just a user registration form on an e-commerce checkout. Their research stated that we were wrong about the first-time shoppers. They did mind registering. They resented having to register when they encountered this page. As one shopper told us, I'm not here to enter into a relationship. I just want to buy something. How true is that? So thinking about optimization as a strategy, of course, there are a lot of busted things on this site. You can reach your local maximum or, series of local maxima after optimizing, but when you're losing this much money because of a bad UX, at least think before doing a redesign. Don't do a redesign without taking a good, long, hard look at your data in all of its forms. There could also be some very good data from this website. Something is working. Maybe I'm not positive on that particular site, but in other sites, it's very possible. Don't spend all your time, money, and resources on a redesign when there are huge fixes with a low level of effort. Anonymous checkout. Come on, that can be done right now. So telling the optimization story is still quite difficult in this day and age for reasons that I just kind of explained, especially to people who don't understand. They value touchy-feely things, and they're not thinking about, oh my gosh, this impacts my company's profit in a huge way. And you can only do your best, after which you say, good luck on your WordPress redesign, and that's what we said. So, in an ideal world, they would allow us in to seek additional data through these Project Juice folks, just let us in, and I propose this, just let us in to test some things before you make your big decision on your WordPress redesign. Let us do some Hotjar recordings, and that Hotjar is a tool where you can watch user sessions, essentially recordings of mouse movements and journeys throughout the site, where I can confirm some of these usability issues, hesitation, friction, on-page interaction behaviors, and then you can take that video and you can show it to the client and be like, look at this user, they don't know what they're doing. And that can be a very powerful argument. Crazy Egg heat maps, there are a lot of tools, there are several tools. These are just some of the ones that we use. We can see how certain users are interacting the page or are not in terms of scrolling and clicking. And I'll show you some examples. I wouldn't waste time on user, so part of this is understanding, you can get so much data, but understanding how much data to collect is part of the picture. You want to be efficient and limit yourself to things that are essential. So I wouldn't waste time on user testing, surveys, maybe even analytics for this particular checkout experience, unless the previous steps indicated that it was warranted. As it stands, I'm pretty confident that in one single test, we would get a significant lift in conversions. If you can spend an hour or two enabling anonymous checkout, if you can figure out a way to A/B test it, just do it. Don't spend 10 hours doing tons of data collection. Then I would test my data by creating a better UX for the landing page, the Juices landing page based on my research, create a better checkout flow based on research, run A/B tests on the landing page and checkout variants using Google Optimize 360, Optimizely, or some of these other tools to confirm my hypotheses with tests and data. Then we would talk about that WordPress redesign after their bank account balance started rising. So we call this, because conversion rate optimization is not really descriptive of what we're doing truly. So some concepts from what we call digital impact optimization. Traditional web design has upfront costs. It has upfront usage of the client's internal time, which they don't always think about. It's based on assumptions. It's sometimes, the previous site has been static for years and there has been no optimization done. Whereas conversion rate optimization, digital impact optimization, it's spread out over time. The goal is, if you're optimizing to do it incrementally, if you're doing a redesign to launch an MVP, look at data from your old site if it's worthwhile, which it usually is, but, launch quickly, get an MVP out the door, minimum viable product, which is a hard battle with stakeholders, to not have perfection before launch. Everyone in the industry has an idea that, oh my gosh, my website's launching, it has to be perfect. But it doesn't, of course, to some extent, it does, like perfection in terms of, cross-device issues, technical stuff, yes. But, get it out there, get that data coming in, and then add your XYZ content type, whatever feature integration you're trying to do, if it can wait, just getting the clients to think about this a little bit more. Test and then optimize. And then make decisions. Decisions are based on data and analytics. And there's a concept of continuous improvement rather than, hey, launch it, you're done. So clearly, research is an important part of the optimization process, but how do we do it? It's not just data. There are principles and, stuff you can learn that guide our research. Learning about people, psychology, persuasion, analytics, tools available for gathering data and testing, design concepts for conversion, conversion copywriting, even the micro copy or the text on a button, the the little text you see along the user journey is important. Oh, my Keynote's giving me all these blank slides. So how do we do the research? AKA, how do we do the right amount of research? Like I said, the sources of data can be overwhelming. We have to prioritize our data gathering. Don't just go out and start with user surveys, without thinking about it, or don't just start looking at screen recordings without maybe looking at the analytics first. Analytics, it's easy to get lost in a sea of data. Google has their analytics certification, but also, if you just block out some time on your calendar to play around with it on client sites, that's the kind of learner I am. Just learning by doing. Just dedicate time to it and really look deeply into it. If you're at all an intuitive person, it's worthwhile. User session replays, mouse tracking. You don't need to follow every single user journey. If you watched every user journey on your website, if you had enough traffic, you'd be wasting so much time. Think about watching those user journeys which involve 4+ pages, or something that have visited 4+ pages that are maybe from a country where your market is, and you can filter by pages, like, oh, they've visited the About page. Maybe that's an important concept in your user journeys that you're trying to optimize. And the heat maps. Click, scroll, motion-based, segmented, lots of kind of heat maps. And again, learning by doing is a great thing. So just do it on your own website. Do it on your, if you have a client who you have a great relationship with, do it there and just start learning by doing. PPC campaigns, sending traffic to the site. Is there a scent that is maintained between the ad and the landing page? If you have an image in your ad and it goes to your landing page and the image is just totally different, or the message is totally different, that's going to harm conversions. Of course you have to test it, but most likely you have to maintain some sort of scent in the message, like free 20-day trial on some security app. Okay, and then you get there and it's about network security, risk management, or something totally different, right? You need to maintain the scent between the ads and the landing pages. So thinking about all these sources of data, looking where this traffic is coming from ads, from organic, you have to prioritize. And then, so step 2, so that was kind of step 1, figuring out what kind of data we need. And then step 2 is a heuristic analysis. So just going through the site page by page, performing a structured website review. It's great if you can get the client on the phone to help you understand the business a bit more. But you look at things like relevance. Does the page meet user expectations, both in terms of content and design? How can it match what the users want even more? Clarity. Is the content or offer on this page as clear as possible? How can we make it clearer, simpler? That's not always the case. That's often not the case, surprisingly. Marketers love to add flourish and embellishments, but is it clear to your target audience, to your grandma, to your mom, what the heck this page is about and what they're trying to communicate? Value. Is it communicating value to the user? Even on the homepage, someone lands there, why do I care? I have 3 other devices around me, I'm watching the Super Bowl, I'm on your site now, why do I care? Can we do better? Can we increase user motivation? Friction. What on this page is causing doubt, hesitation, or uncertainty? And even like HTTPS, people understand that more these days. So that, especially if you're doing any kind of valuable transaction, it might not even be e-commerce, but that is a source of trust. And those silly secured by labels, maybe someone should make a better logo for them. But hey, they do add value and trust. So how can we minimize friction? Distraction. Is there anything on the page that is not helping the user take action, like that Project Juice site? You saw that the user's eyes were just all over the place. So what can we remove to help the user take action, and to do so in an expedient manner? If it's not motivation, it's friction, and thus it might be a good idea to get rid of it. So think, is something on this page motivational for the user, or can we get rid of it? Overall design and UX. How are design patterns and UX implemented site-wide, and how might this affect site visitors and overall brand impression? That's important too. Then step 3, technical analysis. So check up on the technical aspects of the website. If it's a support client, you just inherited their website from some rogue developers elsewhere, you have to check cross-browser, cross-device testing. And you can look in your analytics by browser and see if your Google Analytics goals / conversions are different for different browser types or OS versions. And then speed analysis. Speed impacts conversions. Run it through Pingdom's tool or Google Page Speed, YSlow, all that stuff. The letter grades often tend to be kind of noisy, but it gives you a good idea of where things are at. And then a usability check. Get a standard usability checklist that you can run through, and just make things like a 404 page and all that kind of stuff. Just make sure they're in place. Major functional and usability bugs in any of your visitors' browser and devices should be fixed first and foremost. That's the first step before we get fancy, before we get into persuasion and marketing. This is baseline stuff. It's low-hanging fruit and one that you can make a lot of money on as far as conversions are concerned. And then step 4 is taking an in-depth analytics deep dive, and looking at the funnels, looking at what I just mentioned about various parameters where the conversions are varying. There's a way to show the little. I should have had some examples, but show where the bar graph. Show the bar graphs and see which pages are converting better, worse, drop-off rates, bounce rates, all that kind of stuff. But before we do that, actually do a health check. Can we even trust this data? Is your analytics code pasted twice on a page somewhere? Is anything broken? And you can see that in the analytics and Google Tag Manager. There are various tools to check that kind of stuff out. Is site search enabled in Google Analytics to see if users are searching for something that you're not getting by your default experience. And then step 5, mouse tracking analysis, click maps, scroll maps, user session replays, and then form analytics isn't something that I mentioned yet, but if you have a request for information form and there are tons of either sensitive fields that the user is required to input, like the phone number, or there are just too many fields in one step, then the users might abandon that form. Abandoning forms is it just happens so often. So what can you do to really optimize these forms? Maybe you put 5 fields on the form, and then you have a next step, right? Just simple things like this can cause huge, valuable improvements for your clients. So there are great ways to test form analytics. Hotjar is one that we use for that. Next, adding surveys to certain pages in order to gain further user feedback. So yes, surveys can be slightly annoying, but also, hey, they're worth it a lot of the times. If you can get that user feedback, a few users might be like, kind of annoyed, I've got this pop-up. But the data you can gather is just so worth it. Our goal here is to learn about friction, what we want to ask. We want to ask about any fears, doubts, or hesitations that they're experiencing on a given page. And there are multiple ways of doing that. User observation with vocal feedback. So usability testing, you can do it in person, but you can also do it remote. If you search for remote user testing, there are lots of options out there. Lookback.io, usertesting.com, and you have paid users who they might not be your target market, but they'll at least give you really valuable feedback because they're sitting at their computer with their microphones on and speaking aloud as they take the journeys that you've asked them to complete a certain goal on your website. So they're speaking aloud, what's going on in their head. That kind of stuff is just not available in any other kind of digital testing tool. So getting real-time feedback or real vocal feedback from users is very valuable. And the magic number that they usability researchers say for user testing is 5. If you can get 5 users doing something, you get the sweet spot of information for your work, and then returns start to diminish a little bit after that. So you don't have to think about user testing as oh my gosh, let's get 20 people in the lab, and I've done that before for a startup, but that's not necessary most of the time. Just get 5 people and do it online. It doesn't have to be a huge, involved, painful thing. And then, after we do this research, then we determine our master actions. So we rank, everything has to be prioritized, right? So we rank issues by severity and ease of implementation. And then we allocate our findings into one of the following. So test, there's an opportunity to shift behavior, increase conversion, whatnot. An instrument, then we need to, our analytics, there's something wrong with our analytics. Hypothesize, we don't see a clear solution, so we need to brainstorm something more about this particular thing that we've highlighted in our research. Just do it. Sometimes, like I was saying, there are some issues that just need to be fixed, just need to be tested. Like don't even spend much time doing much research on them. Just A/B test and then confirm your hypothesis because it's broken. And then investigate. We need to do some testing with specific devices or need more information to triangulate a problem that we spotted. So then we prioritize based on ease of implementation and return on investment, so opportunity for improvement. So we start with things that make the largest positive impact right away. So what does it look like? Let's see. Good job, Keynote. Okay, so this is Hotjar. And I'm doing some of the things like I talked about. I want to see sessions that the user visited more than one page, visit duration greater than 30 seconds on the site, United States as the target demographic, and you can refine by devices, operating system, all that kind of stuff as well. And there, again, like I said, there are tools, several tools like this, but I like their screen recordings the most. And you can see the user's mouse journey going through the site, and you can speed it up. You can 1 to 4 times the speed. You can skip pauses. You can see their browser, what OS they're on. You can see the actions that they take, not in this tab, but in the one over to the right. And you can see here on the screen when there's a user action happening, and we have skip pauses on, so we can, when they get a phone call, and they're browsing the website, then we don't sit there and watch them have a phone call, right? So that's kind of what that looks like. And then heat maps, you've probably seen them, but it just highlights where there's the largest activity of clicking, and you can see how many number of clicks are here, where the average fold is. Fold is whatever, but it relates to screen resolutions and the like. And then here's a scroll map. How far down the page do users scroll? If they get to a large chunk of text and they stop scrolling, then maybe you should think about that large chunk of text. Maybe you want to put some more persuasive design elements and human faces, something that catches attention. The scroll journey down a website is a persuasive argument, right? You're scrolling, and then, is this persuasive? Oh, okay, I'll keep scrolling. Is the next thing persuasive? Yeah, I'll keep scrolling. And for a home page, right, you want to get users off the home page down the sales funnel, but for the about page, you want people to read your story and to scroll through that. So this is, I tend to like Crazy Eggs, heat maps, click maps better. Hotjars are a little more low fidelity, but you can still get a lot of good information by this kind of stuff. And then optimizing and testing individual page components or entire page variants with Google Optimize 360 or similar. There's Optimizely and other tools like it, but I like Google Optimize 360 because they bring in your Google Analytics goals, so you don't have to recreate your goals, your conversion goals. And so it's nice and in sync with your analytics. So here, for example, this is just a light example. We're just editing some text on the home page and doing an A/B test. We can edit right in their WYSIWYG editor, in Google Optimize's WYSIWYG editor, the actual, we don't have to go into Drupal. We can edit the actual text on a page with their tool. But of course you can do different URLs, and you can do, you can A/B test, page 1 versus page 2, that kind of stuff. You can do it in Drupal, but the WYSIWYG editor is a nice way to test something like this. Another great way to test, like this was an example of a value proposition that was way too long. Another great way to test a value proposition is through PPC advertising. Test your value proposition on your PPC. You can do it on your website too, but before you throw it on your website, try testing it out through PPC and look at the analytics and see what is persuasive to users. And A/B testing versus multivariate. You can do multivariate if you have incremental things to optimize on a given page, but you also need a lot of traffic to warrant that. So generally start with A/B testing and then get fancy, do multivariate. Okay, I guess. How much time do I have? I'm going to run through, I'll leave a little time for questions. I'm going to run through really quick of another visual example of all this kind of stuff. So PV.com came to us and just wanted they do audio equipment. I think I used to have a few PV amps back when I was trying to be a rock star. So we just look at their page speed through Pingdom. But it's it's faster than 75% of tested sites. When you look at the details, it's not bad. But mobile needs work. Do they have a compelling value proposition on their homepage that visitors can see right away? I know they think they're PV, and it is a very reputable brand, but within the first 5 seconds, can a visitor identify who you are, what you do, and your value proposition? So why should they care about being there? And what's in it for them? So we did a similar thing with Fangui. This is their homepage. Revolutionary AMP modeling software. That's what I see when I land on their homepage. Just became unlimited. Okay, they sell amps, and yes, they are diving into software, but man, PV is known for their amps and their excellent audio equipment. And so this is what I get. I get this slider that's not a value proposition. It doesn't tell me why I should care unless I'm looking for revolutionary AMP modeling software, which I could be. But that's not a great way to provide, that's what personalization is about. If you could somehow understand that these users really love modeling software, then great. But if you don't have personalization, you need a message that speaks to, the majority. So you can see here, users' eye attention is all about own that tone, learn more, search. The main nav is basically ignored within the first 7.5 seconds. These little things up here, they might see. Social media, YouTube, that is an important channel for them, but it's just not the right impact for the homepage. But if you scroll down, way below the fold, and then, let's see, great website, yeah, so there we are. Founded in 1965 in the smallest text you can find. PV is the world's largest manufacturer and supplier, and suppliers, okay, maybe that's right, of musical instruments and professional sound equipment. Blah, 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 this is why PV is awesome. Okay, it's sitting down here in some really small text. All right. Research shows that most image sliders decrease conversions, such as making a purchase decision. People see them now and they think they look like advertisements. And so the concept of banner blindness is a real thing. People just gloss over them. And in terms of space saving and content promotion, there's just a lot of competing messages that can easily get lost. So why? The human eye reacts to movement and will miss the other important content on your site. There are too many messages in that slider, which it just becomes diluted. And sometimes in rare cases it can be a good thing, but someone like PV, we recommend that's not their main landing visual. And what is their primary or most wanted call to action on their website? It's this banner thing. It's they have multiple calls to action. No one's looking at the nav and the main nav in the first 7.5 seconds. So they don't have a main call to action or the most important thing that they want users to do. Really, they have 6 different main things they want the user to do. So prioritize the most important information first. All of their social proof. Social proof is important in telling the story of why someone should care. It's part of how you support your value proposition. Let's see, so they have a news and updates section that could either be put in the nav or at the bottom of the homepage, but it's nowhere near as important as social proof, testimonials, real influential people, celebrities using their products. That's sitting way down at the bottom of their homepage. It just doesn't make sense. The content prioritization is off. They had some UX issues. They had a clickable, I guess I don't have it in here, but they had right below the homepage, they had these images that were clickable, but you had to hover over them in order to understand that they were clickable. It's like these things they make such a difference. So we're trying to tell this story to to folks, and we're still figuring out how to do it. Because the marketing guy at PV is a rock star who works at PV because he's a rock star, and doesn't understand some of this stuff. So we're trying to just figure out how to tell it in a smart way, and part of the way to do it is just by talking about it. So that's what this presentation is. I'll leave a few moments we have 10-ish minutes for questions, if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, there's more champagne, I think.
So when you go through the process of figuring out if you have a potential client and your agency is a good fit, or one of the things that you would do would be to do some sort of standard audit in which you essentially say, we hear your concerns, but those concerns aside, here's the things that we uncovered through our audit.
Yep.
All of these various things.
Yep. Yeah, we have kind of a standard template for digital impact analysis, we call it. And that is part of the picture, and either client intake or before that, if someone comes to us and it's like, I want to know more about my website and how we could make it better. Sometimes that means I'm price shopping, but sometimes that means I actually want to know more. Any other questions? Mike, do you have an awkward question? No? Okay.
Do you charge for those audits? Like, do you charge the client for that?
This initial, no, the initial. Just because, and that's part of conversion optimization research. If you're selling a complex product that people don't understand, that's a good way to sell it. You gotta reduce that barrier to entry. Any others?
What about a challenge do you run up against? Because it's sort of, it's very difficult to convince people, just with sort of prevalent design patterns out there, that like a hero image should be done away with. It's almost an assumption on major news sites that produce editorials that you should have this huge full-bleed image, that on products you should have this very exciting, huge image.
Right.
So it might be pretty difficult to tell someone, hey, this image actually takes up a vast majority of the fold. Right. And you could probably just do away with all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would talk to them about, is the hero image, how is it involved in your value proposition? If it's a hero video and you have a really, Airbnb kind of showed what it was like to be experiencing Airbnb through their hero video. So it kind of showed their value proposition, but then I think they did away with it in later versions. But I would value proposition. Does it convince the user to scroll? And if you have a kind of story to tell, does it convince the user to scroll? Think about the screen size. Is there any visual cue at whatever screen size that I should scroll? And does that hero image include a main, your most wanted action? If maybe you're a Square and you just want people to sign up for Square for a free trial or something, and maybe you can say your value proposition succinctly in the fold, and then there's a hero image. But I would really focus on value prop, primary CTA, and then scroll journey, and show them a heat map of what this hero image does. A/B test it. Just be like, hey, can we A/B test this to confirm our assumptions? Any others? No? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming. Enjoy the camp.